week 1. And people are going to get all knee-jerky with the knee-jerk reactions all over the place. Oh my God, is Ekeler trash? Should I drop him? Oh my God, Tom Brady looked awful scoring 3 TDs. You're wrong, Smitty. You're wrong. Everything you've said's wrong. Knee-jerk reactions. There was a lot of good that came out of week 1. A lot of good. From DK to Hollywood to you name it. We're going to go through it. I'm going to go through each team, go through the box scores, tell you what I think of the players, and that might give you an indication of who you can buy low and who you can sell high going into week 2. We still got the Monday night games. Let's break down week 1, buy low, sell high, and talk about these players. So in the first matchup here, the Chiefs versus the Texans, Watson, 253, 1 TD, 1 INT. He ran the ball for 27 yards and a score. That's what we expected out of the guy, and I think you're going to have that kind of production all year long. He's top 5 to 6. Don't think about, selling him high or selling him at regular value, type value. Sell him high if you can, and you have a backup like Aaron Rodgers, who I couldn't believe all offseason long. We'll get there, that people were doubting Aaron Rodgers. He was not capable of destroying his 10th round ADP. He was one of the bigger steals in fantasy drafts, and we screamed that from the rooftops from the Fantasy Football Show for months and months and months. But congrats to all of you who stacked A-Rod and Adams and had yourself a day in week 1. DJ, 11 carries, 77 yards, 1 TD. I think he's a great sell high candidate. I'm not saying sell him low. I'm not saying sell him at the value you paid. I'm saying that people are willing to pay second round value for this guy. And I think you could buy yourself a safer vehicle to drive in the remainder of the season. So consider your options. Test the trade waters, no doubt about it. Will Fuller, 8 receptions, 112. This is a perfect sell high player because he always gets hurt. People are getting excited about him. You have I had start bench questions before week 1, before he had this game that we kind of thought he'd have in this. We knew it was going to be high scoring shootout where they were playing from behind, trying to get back in the game. So Fuller was expected to have a big game. Now, I don't go selling him low or at fair market value. The point is to buy low and sell high. In the case of Fuller, you sell high. You go after a wide receiver that maybe struggled. You maybe pair Fuller and a running back with maybe a buy low on a Mike Thomas or a Mike Evans or a player that may have struggled. Maybe Golladay disappointed his owner in week 1 and he's willing to trade you 2 pieces for 1 and you can get Golladay on your team. Just ideas. But looking at this roster, I'm not thrilled about any of the other pass catchers. It's David Johnson, Watson, and Fuller. And the only guy I hold is Watson unless I can't sell high. Mahomes had himself this is a bad day at the office for Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs. Honestly, people are freaking out. People are like, oh my God, Tyreek Hill 5 catches, 46 yards and a touchdown. He still scored a touchdown. He still had 46 yards in probably his worst game he's going to have all year long. Sammy Watkins, 7 receptions, 82 and a touch. Maybe sell high. Kelsey, he's solid. No one's going to sell him high or sell him low. High. No one's going to sell him low, and you certainly won't be able to buy him on the cheap. And, you could maybe sell him high, but why would you? He's going to continue to do that all year long. I think Kelsey's solid. He's my number 1 tight end in fantasy football for redraft without question. He's kind of ahead of Kittle by quite a bit right now in my mind, only because I worry about that offense being very consistent for Kittle. And Kittle could get hurt. He got hurt in the game, came back in, but he's very aggressive. He's got some lingering issues. And I kind of just separate Kelsey from the rest at this point for redraft at least. So Demarcus Robinson, you can't count on him, although they did target him quite a bit. Mecole Hardman, buy low in Dynasty. Redraft, you may not ever have a need for Mecole Hardman until something happens to Sammy Watkins or whatever. But Mecole Hardman could eventually be a wide receiver 3 if something did happen to Watkins. But in Dynasty is the real buying opportunity because he's got a whole lot of Dynasty value. And I think people are going to be soured on this performance and they're going to say, you know what, I don't know that he's going to ever have a role in this offense. I need something now. They may trade him at dirt cheap type pricing. Buy Tyreek Hill low. As I mentioned, people are freaking out. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you're not going to be able to buy him low at all. You won't be able to buy him high. You won't be able to buy him, period. But for whatever reason, even with that, his owners are plenty happy with him. You still got a lot of haters out there saying, he's not going to get the goal line work anymore, Smitty. He'll be fine. Andy Reid's smart enough to know that he looked good in on a lot of those carries, even though he got stuffed. He was doing his best. There was not the best play design going on with all those carries. They should have ran him to the outside, used his quickness and left to right ability. He is goal line capable, and Andy Reid's not going to punish him for having 138 yards and a touchdown at 5.5 a pop. He was at 6.0 yards a pop roughly before those goal line carries at the end. Don't worry about Clyde. Let us worry about Clyde. Hold our beer, because we drafted him. No one that drafted him is doubting him. So if you want to keep being a hater on him and finding ways to dislike him, by all means, go right ahead. We don't care. We're gonna keep doing what we do. We're gonna keep doing Clyde Edwards type things. Like I said, hold our beer. Next matchup up, I'm gonna put Seattle and Seattle and the Falcons up. So the Seahawks 38, Falcons 25. Looking at this box score, Russell Wilson blew up. Expect that. He's a top 3, top 4 overall quarterback. 322, 4 TDs. He had 29 on the ground. He's capable of this every other game. And in a bad game, 301. I mean, that's what you expect from Russell Wilson. Or 240 and 1 passing touchdown and maybe a strong shot at 40 yards and maybe a rushing touchdown. That's like his bad game. I worry about Chris Carson. Big sell high for me. I know he had 2 TDs. He caught, as you can see right here, 6 passes for 45 and 2. But he only ran the ball 6 times for 21 yards. Carlos Hyde ran it 7 times. I know what you're thinking, Smitty. You hate Carson. When are you ever going to give him credit? I'm not saying to drop him. I'm not saying don't value him as a good high-end running back 2 right now. I'm saying I don't trust him to be there at the end of the year. It's a big difference between me saying trade DJ high, trade Carson high, and me saying I doubt these guys. They're total busts. They suck. They won't do good in week 2. Or I didn't say DJ would do bad in week 1. I have so many people coming at me saying, Smitty, you told me DJ was going to be bad. You were so wrong. I came on YouTube live for 3 hours straight and answered Chris Carson questions, all DJ questions, all those questions. And I can't tell you how many times I said David Johnson could have a very good week 1 and then sell him. But people continue to read things how they want, watch things how they want, and absorb them how they want. DJ and Carson are not guys that you give up on or sell at even regular fair market value. You sell them high. The words coming out of my mouth are sell them high, not for low dollar value. Where's my music? Can't think without the music. DK Metcalf, 4 receptions, 95 yards and a touchdown. And God, how many questions I got in DMs and comments and hate when he dropped that ball. Smitty, he can't catch. You're totally wrong about... Oh, he just scored. He just scored a real nice touchdown catch. 4 receptions, 95 and 1. Yeah, start catching the ball, DK. We're happy with the 8 targets. We're happy with the 95 yards. We're happy with the TD. Let's make it 2 TDs. Locke at 92, no touchdowns, but he did have 8 targets. Carson, again, did really well in the passing game. Without that, he would have flopped in week 1. So that's one reason why I'm all about just selling him and getting rid of him for safer value. Lateral trading. Step to the side. Grab a safer guy. Matt Ryan, 450 and 2, 1 INT. He's every other year he does well. So we're in the year where Matt Ryan's supposed to do well. Congrats if you drafted him in 2020. But, if you have Ryan, maybe you have a Rodgers, maybe you have a Brady, maybe you took advantage of the Brady in the 10th, Rodgers in the 10th advice that I dished out all offseason long, and you're going to say Brady sucked. Brady had 3 touchdowns in probably his worst game he's going to have all year. They're going to get better. A lot of teams were kind of off their game without meshing well together. We knew that that could happen with the quarterbacks that found new teams. Trying to mesh with their new teammates is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. We could have even another mediocre week out of Brady. He'll get in a rhythm. He'll start doing well. Cam did okay. Running the ball. Cam had a good day. We'll get to that. But looking at this, Todd Gurley, 14 carries, 4 yards a carry, 1 touchdown. The touchdown kind of saved his day. I'm selling high if I can, because it doesn't matter about week 2. Let me say this loud and clear for the people in the back. If you are going to come at me in week 2, if Gurley or DJ or Carson do well again, I'm going to save you the time. I think they could do well again in week 2. They could do well again in week 3. They could do well again in week 4. And I'm not taking any laps on that one, because I'm telling you they could. You sell high. Now every week that goes by, you're pushing your luck, because I believe that Gurley will break down. I believe DJ will break down. I believe Carson will eventually leave you hanging. Now, Carson might last like 10 weeks, so you could probably ride him out a little bit further, but he's very injury prone, fumbleitis, and disappointment prone. He's leaving you holding the bag, in my opinion, when it counts the most down the way. I say get a safer vehicle to drive into your 2020 season and sell them high. Whenever you can sell these guys high, sell them high. Ridley. On the bold predictions in 2019, and of course, I like him a ton this year, but this is the season I kind of expected him to have last year, to be honest with you. He had a good year, but Ridley looks to form. Ridley is top 12 capable. Now, he could have some ups and downs because Julio Jones is not quite done yet, people. He had 157 yards, 9 receptions, 12 targets, but Ridley had 9 receptions, 12 targets as well. And he had a little bit less yards, but he had the 2 TDs. He's the TD guy. Julio, for whatever reason, cannot find the end zone on the regular. Nowhere close to Ridley. That's why Ridley probably could outscore him. And I know a lot of Julio truthers get so angry when you talk bad about Julio at all. But this could be his last elite year. If you're in Dynasty, selling high is a good idea. If you're in redraft, I don't know that I worry about him getting hurt this year or declining this year, but I do worry about him in 2021. And I think both these guys are going to have big years. Hayden Hurst, 3 catches, 38. You're not going to be able to sell him high. Selling high was before week 1 because his value, for whatever reason, was just like crazy high. Is my music still going? Sure is. All right. Next game we're going to venture towards would be the Ravens and Browns. Now, I don't know what to tell you in regards to the Browns and what to expect. Baker, 21 for 39, 189, 1 TD, 1 INT. They can't move the chains, I don't think, on a regular basis all year long. That worries me. Nick Chubb, 10 carries. 10 carries. You've got to be worried about that. Kareem Hunt, 13. I'm not saying Kareem Hunt isn't going to have his problems too. Let's say if he's anointed the starter tomorrow, we're going to worry about the volume, the consistency, but he is a PPR guy. He is a good receiving back. He had 4 receptions. Granted, he only had 9 yards. Don't focus on that. That's an anomaly. That's, situational, bad matchup, bad play calling, bad play by the Browns, bad situations to be in when he catches those 4 catches, but he had 4 catches. That's the second leading receiver reception-wise on the team. So I think if Hunt got in there, he'd be more consistent. You worry less about him. Chubb, you're not going to be able to sell him high. You could try, but I worry about him all year, not only with injury concerns because of his aggressive style, but because of Kareem Hunt. But I'm not going to sugarcoat this, because I'm all about, changing direction and adapting as fast as I can and not sticking to my guns and being stubborn. A lot of people think I do that. I'm not. But I'm going to tell you this. I think Hunt is equal parts win your league, equal parts Maybe he just never shows up because him and Chubb keep each other healthy, sharing all the carries, and the Browns suck all year long. I don't know what to make of it yet. Landry had 5 catches for 61 yards, and Njoku got 50 and 1 touchdown. Odell blew, just completely sucked. Time to let him go if you're thinking wide receiver 1 value. Now, do you start him as your flex? Probably. I don't think I bench him unless you got great options like Hollywood or Chark, and put those guys in. But Odell, that's why I only trusted him in, I think, 1 league. And that's what I told people. I said, you know what? At 4th round value, I like the idea of it, but in 1 league, maybe 2, if you do 20, make him that guy you're barely counting on, but you have a share just in case he bounces back, but this offense blows. I'm not excited about it at all. Landry was supposed to be kind of hit and miss whether he's going to get a lot of run, and he got more run than we thought, but he still didn't, blow up or anything. Lamar, this guy's only going to get better. 20 for 25. Now, it was the Browns. I think he's going to have to use his legs most outings more than he did in this one because he only ran 7 times for 45 yards for 6.4 pop. That's a bad day at the office in terms of running the football for Lamar. Bad day meaning things are still okay. But 275 and 3, he lit it up. Mark Ingram, a little bit of a concern here. 10 carries, 2.9 a pop, 29 yards. Running backs decline like that in the NFL. I'm not saying Ingram's there. He didn't look great, but knee-jerk reacting is not a good idea here. He's still a high-end running back 3 flex play. Don't kick him out of your lineup yet unless you've got great options. JK, maybe a better start. JK might be elite flex-like value right now. 22 yards only, 3.1 a pop, nothing special, but 2 TDs. They trust him. He's a playmaker. He has a nose for the end zone. They like that. Hollywood Brown, 5 receptions, 101, 6 targets. The dude is efficient. He's lightning, speedy, quick, all over the field. He's their number 1 option. And when your quarterback's throwing for 275 and 3, I don't want to hear this. The offense is so run-oriented. They may get back to that. Don't think that 29 yards for Ingram and JK getting 22 is what you're going to always see, or 45. That's not a typical running outing for the Browns. But when you're efficient in the passing game, you're going to keep doing it. Rinse and repeat every time you get on the field if it's working. And they did that. They rinsed, they repeated, they dominated, and the Browns suck. They just suck. No other way to put it. Andrews, 5 catches, 58, 2 touchdowns. Snead with the touchdown. I don't worry too much about Snead, but if you need a guy, I know a guy. His name's Snead. I don't know that I pick him up, but I know a guy. And he might be able to help you out. Might, depending on how big your league is. Let's hit the next matchup. The next trusty matchup is going to be the Jets and Bills. Wow. Jets and Browns. That's how I feel they're just 2 peas in a pod. The Bengals. These 3 teams, depressing when you go to turn on your TV and you are going to watch the game. I watch the red zone myself, but you turn on the TV and you see the Jets game or the Browns or, in my opinion, the Bengals right now. These teams are low energy. Sam Darnold, 215, 1 TD, 1 INT. Anybody expect more than that? I didn't. Frank Gore, is he still in the league? Frank Gore's 75 years old, and he still leads, or tied for leading the team in carries. Lev Bell got hurt. Talk about disappointment. That, in hindsight, we have a lot of hindsight things, and I don't think this is knee-jerk. I think this is just life. The facts. This is a fax machine emoji. This is facts right here. Lev Bell disappoints us all in New York, and unless he gets traded, I don't think there's a shot in hell that this guy, I was going to not say hell that I did, a shot in hell that this guy that he bounces back. There's no shot in my opinion. Maybe a little shot. Maybe a trade for him at dirt flex value. Maybe in 1 league. In a league you're okay getting disappointed in. That's it. Crowder, 7 catches, 115, 1 touchdown, 13 targets. I mean, if 13 targets doesn't indicate you're one of the better waiver wire grabs, I don't know what is. Crowder, grab him. Herndon, 6 for 37. He's okay. Perriman, 3 for 17. Not much to look at here other than Crowder. And because they're going to be down and throwing constantly, maybe he is the best option on the team, period. The Bills, Josh Allen, a bold prediction. Pete that I had on the bold prediction board in 2019, predicting this kind of season. And, I've been hit and miss on where I rank them. I've had them like 6, 7, 8. And when I'm asked about Brady, or if I'm asked about, guys like, Wilson or Watson, I'm putting those guys ahead of Allen. But at some point, we got to say, you know what? At worst, it's even. I mean, this guy drops 312, 2 TDs. I know it was the Jets, but 1 touchdown on the ground, 57 yards. He's always a threat to get hurt because of the running and aggressive style, but Allen's top 6 to 10 capable all year long. If you've got him, you've got a good problem on your hands, but maybe you make a trade if you've got one of those QB dilemmas, because I get a lot of those questions. Allen or blah, 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 or Allen. And they're always totally like 50-50 calls, So a couple people asked me about Allen. I apologize if I leaned one way and that way was not Allen, but you got to get rid of this 50-50 type of stuff in your lineup if you can, because you can do 2-for-1s, pick up a good waiver wire guy like Crowder, send 2 guys for 1, and then fill your spot with Crowder. Diggs, 86 yards off 8 receptions. John Brown, we said this on the show the night before, on the Eve show, the Saturday Eve show, the Sunday Eve show, I guess you'd call it. And I said, John Brown, just feel that he's going to be relevant. And we're going to be like, John Brown's still good. Why is he neglected in fantasy football? 6 catches, 10 targets, 1 more than Diggs. Allen loves him. That's all that matters. Allen's got him on, your speed dial list, and you have like 8 spots on your iPhone. He's not in the scroll part. He's in that top, 7 or 8 spots. Allen's got him on lock. I think he's a great pickup. Him and Crowder are good wide receiver grabs and probably available. Now Moss looked okay on paper. So if you look at his receptions, whoa. Hold on a second. How do I get that back? Hold on. There we go. We're back. We're live. We're doing it live. Moss, on paper, 3 catches for 16 yards and a touchdown. 9 rushes for 11 yards. Not great on the ground. But his involvement, the trust was there. I got the feeling that this is going in the direction that we all worried it was going to go in if you're a Singletary believer. I'm liking Moss a lot. I think Moss develops. He's in this great offense that it looks like he's playing on the Jets or the Bengals or the Browns, though, when you look at his stat line. It's like, this is a potent offense on Sunday against a really bad Jets defense. How did Moss do badly but still look good, still feel right? Moss feels right. If you own him, he's a trading chip for you. So get excited about having a potential trading piece that's going to, don't sell him yet. Let him build his value. He's going to double. He's going to split. His value is going to split like a stock. But, you got to wait on that. But I feel really good about him. Singletary, I think Singletary owners are kind of in trouble. Next match up. We're going to pull up. Who is it? Who was the lucky team matchup? Raiders and Panthers. So let's pull up Derek Carr and gang. Derek Carr. No one's starting Derek Carr, but 239-1. He looks efficient, which is good news for those of us that are Josh, Jacob, Jingleheimer, Schmidt owners who got 3 touchdowns, 25 totes, and 93 yards, only 3.7 a pop. We don't care. They're running him, bro. They're running him. And the important part, the part that made him potentially top 5 or 6 running back material, but because he's so good on the ground, he's, top 12 or 14 overall floor. In hindsight, don't you feel silly you didn't draft him at 9, 10, 11, 12 like we said all offseason long? Yeah, that was a great idea. His floor is completely higher than anybody's in that range. But we said, I say we, it's me. Do you see anyone else here? Kept telling you that if he got the receptions, like the team was going to give him an uptick in that category, make receptions a bread and butter category for him, we would see him become a top 5 to 6 option, top 5 to 6 overall player even, maybe. So look at that, 4 receptions, 46 yards, 6 targets. They're keeping to their word. They're going to involve him in the passing game, and that could be like he could have a 50 catch season, and that's going to put him in the top 6 to 10 overall. So congrats to those who drafted the man we call Josh Jacobs Jingleheimer Schmidt. He's a beast, and I love him. Henry Ruggs, good outing for a rookie debut, 3 catches, 55. Waller, 6 for 45. Good buy low candidate because he didn't completely break out. That might disappoint people. People are greedy. And Waller's top 3 to 4 to me. I like Andrews more than him, but given the cost, Waller is a more efficient go get. So go trade for Waller while you can. On the Panthers side of the football, Teddy Bridgewater, 270 in the air, 1 TD. Efficient, no INTs. McCaffrey, 96 and 2 TDs. We like that. We like, more rushing yards, but that's okay. 3 catches for 38 yards. This is like one of those games where the guy has a top 5, outing, and you're like, I was hoping for like 140 and 3, but 96 and 2 I'll take. Bridgewater, 4 runs for 26 yards. Robbie Anderson. It's Crowder. It's Robbie Anderson. I mean, they're John Brown. These are names that feel obvious after the fact. Like we knew. Like, think about it. We knew that they were going to do this. No, we didn't, because if we knew, we would have done something about it. It's called hindsight, baby. And Robbie is at the top of your mind in the hindsight game. 6 receptions, 115, 1 TD. It's clear as day now, but it wasn't. And he's probably on waivers. DJ Moore, 4 catches for 54. I'm not even the biggest DJ Moore believer, but good buy low opportunity here. Not feeling Ian Thomas too much. I saw his name a ton on sleeper lists heading into week 1, and I'm like, I think I'd rather have my boy Hockenson, who's still available in an uncomfortable amount of leagues. The Hawk is coming up right here, ironically. Let's look at the Hawk stat line in a second. Trubisky, 242, 3 TDs, believe it or not. You didn't know he was there. Wow. You wouldn't know he had that kind of game unless you watched the full game too. You wouldn't have. They didn't even go to the Bears game in that much on NFL Red Zone. At least they should have gone more often to it. But 13 carries, 64 yards for the man we call David Montgomery. Tariq Cohen, 7 rushes for 41 yards. He's efficient on the ground. Anthony Miller, 4 for 76 and 1. We had a lot of Anthony Miller questions, so he's starting to look like a decent flex because he's carrying that over from last year. 5 catches for 74 for A-Rob. A-Rob's a good buy low because his owners might be a little upset. And I think he will be a top 12, top 14 wide receiver. But Anthony Miller's going to eat in a little bit and looks pretty good. Stafford, 297, 1 and 1. Adrian Peterson, a good pickup in week 2. 14 carries for 93 yards. 6.6 a pop for the old man. He looks so good too. He looks tough. He doesn't look like he's lost much. Like, watching him play, I almost wonder how he didn't have 150 yards and 2 scores. He looks like that kind of Adrian Peterson sometimes. So grab him if you need a running back. If you took Boston Scott and you thought he was going to save your year, a lot of people thought that. Don't feel bad. He made our put him in your lineup list quite a bit on the Sunday Eve show. Carry on 7 for 14 yards. Nothing burger there. Swift 3 for 8 and a touchdown. Swift could be on the rise soon as long as he's healthy. Danny Amendola 5 for 81. That's another one of those like John Brown, Robbie Anderson, Crowder, Amendola, like the same old bunch that in hindsight look obvious, as guys that probably were going to do something in week 1, but a lot of them will vanish. These are the 1 week wonder guys, or the every 5th or 6th week they do something. Hockenson, this is important, tied for the most receptions on the team. 5 targets, 5 receptions, also an important thing to throw at you. He's efficient. The dude pulls it in when you throw it to him. He's a big target too. That stat right there means that Stafford's comfortable with him and trusts him because he's pulling it in when you throw it to him. 5 catches for 56 and a TD. Looked fantastic. This guy's the next George Kittle, in my opinion, if I was to try and identify a tight end floating around the ambiguous range in player pools and on rankings. It is TJ the Hawk. And I think if you can buy low on him, do so. Marvin Jones 4 for 55. Seems like a Marvin Jones type game. And he could have a big game here and then a 4 catch for 40 yard game. He might be rather consistent in that type of range for you. Colts and Jaguars. Now, I may have missed a team. I'm going kind of fast. I apologize. To the team I may skip over when I'm talking too much. Rivers 363 and a touchdown, 2 INTs. That feels very Rivers-like. This was kind of a mix of, hey, this is good. He's good for the offense, but he's also, mistake prone. Nyheim Hines, 7 rushes, led the team. 28 yards and a touchdown, 4 yards a pop. Taylor, 9 for 22, 2.4 a pop. Not good, but the good news here, it's bad news for Mac owners. Mac, torn Achilles. It looks like that means Taylor's vaulted up into sharing with Hines, and they love Hines as a pass catcher more than anything. He had 8 catches for 45 yards and a touchdown. That's going to move him outside a lot. They might have both of them on the field at the same time. In fact, they might gear toward that and practice more and plan for it, having Taylor and Hines in the backfield at the same time to help Rivers be more efficient. Because look, things were working and then they weren't working. So they're going to find out ways to cater to Rivers and what he likes to do. And clearly he can throw to a running back. We know that. He loved throwing to Ekeler all game long. And Hines looks like the best option to become that Ekeler role. And Taylor will become the Melvin Gordon role. So buy low on Taylor. I think the 2.4 yards a pop, 9 carries, no touchdowns, 22 yards will have his owner very disappointed and let down. Go ahead and attack Taylor. And if you can't buy him low, you can get creative. If you've got, a David Johnson or a Chris Carson or one of the Gurley, another running back I want to trade away, don't do it straight up. I'm not saying that, but you could trade for Taylor and a huge wide receiver upgrade. I'd probably do something like that. I'd look into that. Send run the offers by me in the comments of the YouTube video, or come on the live streams, better yet, and toss them out. We'll go over it. Paris Campbell, 6 for 71, pretty good. Jonathan Taylor did good in the receiving game, and that's where it might be tough to trade for him too cheaply. 6 receptions for 67 yards. That's a good day. Because he did so bad on the ground, he still didn't have a ton of points, but his owner might say 13, 14, whatever he scored for you, depending on your league, is enough. I see the talent. More than likely, the injury to Mac will trigger any disappointed Taylor owner to be cautious to trade him. So you might have to get creative and do like a 2 for 2 and be like, oh, what's that guy you have? Let's throw him in there. Is it Taylor? Taylor? Is that his name? Millard Taylor? Stephen Taylor? No, Jonathan Taylor. You gotta play the role, be smooth, be a smooth operator. T.Y. Hilton, 53 yards, 4 receptions. Jack Doyle, 3 for 49. Not seeing much here. Let's go to the exciting side. The Minshew Mania, 173-3. Robinson, 3.9 a pop, but 16 carries. They won. It helped. It worked. They might run it again. Let's run it back. Put James Robinson out there. 16 totes is good. 62 yards, not great, but he did have one catch for 28. Explosive, play. So that might excite some people. 3 catches for 25 and a touchdown for Chark. Disappointing, but understated. Got the touchdown. Chenault, a touchdown. Cole, a touchdown. I'm not looking at them too much. Maybe Chenault and, obviously Dynasty. But, I'm looking to DJ Chark, and that's about it in that receiving game. And I'm still liking James Robinson in the right spots. But that's all I got to say about that. Next up is going to be the Packers and the Vikings. Now the Pack and the Vike. A-Rod. Oh, baby. I hate to be the one to say I told you so, but what in the hell were you thinking? Telling me that this guy is washed up old man, horrible, led his team to a 13-3 record, didn't have anybody to throw to. Even when Adams came back, he was hampered. They changed over to a run-oriented offense, which we knew wasn't going to stick once Adams came back. Adams looked the part at the very end of the year. He looked fine. Chad Ochocinco cried when Devontae Adams text messaged him a video clip of him running routes in 2019. And that's a selfish man that doesn't care about anybody's route running but himself. He cried. That's not telling you the breakout was coming. I don't know what is, and he got hurt. So it was delayed. Devontae Adams had freaking 14 catches, 17 targets for 156 and 2 TDs. Him and A-Rod were playing catch in the backyard all day long. 17 targets. I don't even know how that's possible, but it is. Scantling, 4 for 96 and a touchdown. He's worth considering. Lazard, 4 for 63 and a touchdown. They got no wide receiver help. Clearly, A-Rod thinks differently about that. Aaron Jones, 16 carries for 66 and a touchdown. A.J. Dillon got 2 for 14, 7 yards a pop, but only two rushes. But I still worry about Aaron Jones. If you could sell him high, I probably would. But if you can't, you got to ride the wave because you paid a pretty penny for the man. So test the waters, see if you can get him traded. But you got to get Dillon. Maybe you can get Dillon on the cheap right now. Next up, Kirk Cousins, 259, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Dalvin Cook, not a lot of carries, but the man was efficient. He came to play the game. He came to speak, I am worth the money, because he delivered 2 scores on his 12 carries. They had to pass in this one, and I think, Cook delivered, what did he have receiving-wise? He didn't deliver anything. I thought he had at least 2 or 3 catches. He didn't. He had 1 catch for minus 2 yards. Damn it, Cook. Goodbye, low. And I think Madison, 6 carries for 50 yards. You won't be able to get him from them. If you don't own Madison, then you should be ashamed of yourself that you drafted Cook and didn't reach for Madison when he was very, very reasonable. Like, that's greedy. You're trying to go after an extra Larry Fitzgerald in round 8, and you didn't think about Madison? What are you thinking? Whoops.
Take a lap.
Okay. Enough ridicule. It happened to me once. I got sniped. I overpaid and got him, though. But people know what I'm doing. They don't know what you're doing. Everyone sees what I'm doing. I do mock drafts and drafts of people that know where I'm going. They got my blueprint, and I got sniped. So I was privately ridiculing myself. It happened one time, so I will take my lap. But I got him. I traded. I had to give up my shirt, but I was able to get Madison. But Madison's going to scare people. And if you're trying to trade Cook high, you're not going to get him. Or you're trying to trade him high, you're not going to get rid of him high. Nor would I trade him because I like him. You just got to get Madison if you can. But you might be able to buy Cook low because 12 carries might worry somebody. Madison, 6 carries for 50 yards. This is how you do that, okay? You call up the Cook owner and you go, hey, what do you want for Dalvin Cook? And then he says, I'm not trading Dalvin Cook. He had 2 touchdowns and 50 yards. And you say, oh, well, you got Madison. So, and let's say he doesn't have Madison. Like, you got Madison. So, that's, definitely. You don't have Madison? Oh, bro, Madison had 6 carries for 50 yards. He also pulled in 4 catches for 30 yards. He had 80 total yards in that game. Hey, I got to go. I've got a TPS report I got to print up. I'll see you later. Hang up on him. Disconnect the call. This is like leaving the dealership when you're buying a car. They'll call you back. You planted a seed, walk away for a day. See what happens. Maybe nothing grows, but maybe he's going to stew on it all day long. And you might get that email at 7 p.m. Hey, what do you want for Cook? Because, I don't know, man. It's a little trickery, but it'll work in about 10% of all cases. Try it. Run it out there. Thielen, 6 for 110 and 2. Looked fantastic. Look, I worried about Thielen walking into 2020. And this might be my first oopsie of the year. Not that I think he'll for sure continue to play at this level, but Thielen, I might be feeling moving forward. I didn't like him at 3rd round value. That's where I guess I went after some people, and some have showed it in the comments. Like, I didn't get anything else right this week. Of course I did, but the Thielen people are so mad at me. They're just angry. They're like, you told me that I took him too high, and it just burned them. Like, look, 3rd round was high. You didn't need to take him that high. You could have got him at in the 4th round range. But 6 receptions, 110-2. I mean, that's a big day. Thielen might have a little gas left in the tank. Oopsie on me. That's one. I take my lumps, okay? I'm not going to get everything right. I'm a human being. And I have feelings too. And I wasn't feeling Thielen, but now I am a little bit, a lot, a medium amount. I'm feeling Thielen a medium amount. And that's that. That's all I got to say about that. Let's keep moving the show forward. Who's up next? We got the Dolphins. The Dolphins. Let's see what the Dolphins did. The Dolphins did nothing. I'm surprised. Why didn't I include them at the top of the list when I said the Jets, the Browns, the Bengals? I meant to say Miami. I meant to say the Dolphins, the Miami football team. That's what I meant to say. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Oh my God, Ryan. I had a little bit of a belief in this guy for week 1 at least. I thought he'd get hurt week 7 or 8, but he'd do something in week 1. But the Patriots destroyed him. Let's see what Fitzy does in week 2 if they even play him. 191 and 3 INTs. Gaskins leading the way with 9 rushes for 40 yards. What happened there? Breda was tied for second on the team. No, he wasn't. Jordan Howard got 8 carries. Breda had 22 yards off 5. This is an awful team. I mean, Devontae Parker is the only guy I like, and because they will be behind all season long, every game from the first quarter on, from the first series on, they're going to be behind. Parker will get more than 4 targets. Parker should be more valuable than this, but that's it. I'm not going near Gesicki, who everybody is so high on, 3 catches for 30 yards. No, thank you. Cam Newton, 15 for 19. I mean, as much as you want to say he looked good running the ball, and then you want to end the sentence there, like I kind of do. 15 for 19. Like, he didn't need to do a lot. 155. He'll throw a touchdown here and there. Don't worry. And 15 carries for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. 5 yards a pop. He's the leading rusher of that team all year long. Michelle, 10 carries for 37 and 1. James White, I thought, would be a lot better in this one. He had 3 catches for 30 yards. He also had 5 rushes for 22, but I thought White would be used a whole hell of a lot more. N'Keal Harry looked decent, but didn't have the game we would want. I'm kind of thinking this receiving crew is going to be hampered by Cam being selfish with the football. Ball hog. He doesn't ever pass. He just takes it to the hoop every single time. I bet you Cam on the basketball court is the most greedy mofo when he gets the ball in his hands with his hat on and his colorful outfits. He probably doesn't pass to anybody. And after he dunks it, he probably hands the ball to some kid on the sideline and, game off for a little while. He said distraction, but he's a good distraction. He's a fun distraction. And, man, he's kind of fun to watch. I'm loving Bill Belichick and Cam. It's a weird marriage, and it's fun. It's going to create a lot of good memes. They're already out. There's a lot of memes out. Go check them out. Good old Cam, and that's it. I'm not going to go over this team because it's basically Cam, and that's it. So we'll go on to the next matchup. But if you got him, especially at a Superflex spot, congrats. And I do in a couple of Superflex leagues because he was a great Superflex QB2. He fell pretty far. Now we're on to the football team. The football team and the Eagles. I said this at the beginning of the Saturday show, that my bold prediction for the Eagles was that Wentz would get hurt or somehow unseated, probably through injury, because he does have talent. And I still feel that way. I still feel like there's no way Wentz is finishing the year. It's a weird gut call. You can yell at me all you want, you Eagle fans, but I'm telling you, the good news is I'm talking good about your backup. I think Jalen Hurts gets in there, no pressure, no looking over the shoulder, delivers through that savior role, which oftentimes can have somebody play better when they're in that spot. And I think there's a controversy, or not even one, in 2021 with Jalen Hurts, who I think is going to stay healthy. That's really what it comes down to here, but I like him. Boston Scott failed the whole world in week 1. 9 carries for 35 yards. And then I don't know if he's hurt or what's going on with him. Let's look up Boston Scott real quick and see if he's going to be playing or what's going on. I mean, Sanders could be back, so it could be almost irrelevant in some ways, but let's see if Boston Scott, what he's dealing with right now. Good old Boston Scott. Scott? Boston. Are you hurt? I should just ask computer. Left the field, was escorted into the locker room. Apparent injury. No update. That's what we heard early in the day. So Clement, 6 for 19. He's a potential pickup if Sanders is hurt for a long period of time. And Clement could be okay. 2 catches for 2 yards. Goddard, 8 for 101 and a touchdown. Ertz, 3 for 18 and a score. Ertz is still the number 1 tight end there. But Goddard's maybe somebody to grab for sure. And he's a decent play at this point, given that. Now look, Deshaun, 2 catches for 46. Everybody and their mother wanted him in their number 2 wide receiver spot in our Saturday show. I don't know why. He was all over the place. Do I start Deshaun Watson? Do I start Deshaun Jackson, Smitty? Or DK Metcalf? Do I start Deshaun Jackson or Calvin Ridley? It was the weirdest wave of Deshaun Jackson questions, and I don't know why. And, he didn't have the biggest game in the world, so I feel a little bit better because I felt like I wasn't in the know on something Deshaun Jackson related. Dwayne Haskins, 178-1. Better game than we were fearing. Efficient enough. McLaurin led the team with 5 receptions for 61. We wanted him to score. He didn't. I'm not worried about those other wide receivers. I mean, Sims is an okay grab in deep leagues where you're playing against, 27 people. 50 yards on 3 catches. Peyton Barber, I mean, he's going to be the top 5-6 running backs picked up, but I don't know that I buy into him getting, he had 17 carries for 29 yards. That's 1.7 a pop. Gibson had 9 carries for 36. That's 4. Gibson's going to get more run than I think Peyton Barber was situational. It worked out. He scored. They gave it to him again. But, not much to look at here other than Gibson, I think, is on the rise. Good buy low. McLaurin's a good buy low. Haskins don't go near in fantasy, but he's efficient enough that it makes me excited about McLaurin, at least. I think McLaurin could be a top 12, top 15 wide receiver. No question about it. And now, for the Chargers and the Bengals. The most confusing game of the week. Tyrod Taylor, 208, no touchdowns, no interceptions, 16 for 30. He's just Half the passes are going to get caught, half won't in this offense. 19 rushes for Ekeler, who I felt like I didn't even see at all in this game. And I look at the numbers because I was concerned. I'm like, is he hurt? What's going on? 4.4 carries, not bad. And I was watching the red zone for a big part of the day. And I'm like, is he hurt? Where is he? They didn't show him very often. He had 19 carries. That's not horrible. 84 yards is decent. 4.4 is not bad. He didn't score. It wouldn't have been the end of the world if we got Ekeler, the Ekeler we know, who on a bad day catches 4 catches for 45 yards. But let's scroll down to the bottom there. Look at little Ekeler with this one catchy poo for 3 yards and one little target poo. What's going on, Tyrod? I thought you checked down to your running back more than this. What is going on? Why would this coaching staff not plan to throw the football to their potentially best receiver? Keenan Allen, 4 for 37. You could argue he's the best receiver on the team. But I think Ekeler is. And I think Ekeler should be getting 6 to 10 targets a game at a minimum. And they better fix this before I get upset. But I'm not ready to pull a plug. In fact, I'm buying low. Probably multiple opportunities. It's not one of those things where I'm buying low in one league because I'm concerned enough to just toy around with the idea in one league. I'll buy low and put a couple seasons on the line, a couple leagues on the line at the value you could probably get him at. His value is dropping into the second round. I'd imagine if you equate back to draft value somehow with your value that you're giving up, he could be maybe even like 3.1 attainable if you look at players in that range. Maybe you could do some package deal and get him even cheaper than that. Hunter Henry, 5 for 73. He's good as long as he's on the field, but I'm not super pumped about Henry on the year. Mike Williams, 4 for 69. Kelly is the story here. You might put him in at flex. Why do you get 12 carries as a rookie without an absorbed offseason? Offseason full of offensive absorption is what I was trying to say. And he's talented. 5 yards a carry, touchdown. They may give him the goal line work. That's concerning with Ekeler. But Ekeler was. I have a video on my IG, or I did. My IG's currently locked. Where Ekeler was practicing his goal line diving. Apparently, the team didn't authorize that exercise because they're giving Kelly the work. So what a wasted effort. Renting that high jump mat and all those items you jumped over, Ekeler. I'm pissed about that. But it's one game. Knee-jerk reacting is going to be common here. Even I experience it. I feel like I get a little knee-jerky. And, Ekeler's a good buy low. But it's Ekeler, it's Keenan Allen, and that's really all I'm looking at here other than Kelly. And Kelly's potentially flex-worthy right now. You might run him out as your flex, but I'm not really going after Williams or anything like that via trade. Or next up would be Bucs and Saints. Okay, so this one's going to get people riled up. Thomas Brady, 239, 2 TDs, 2 INTs. He did have the 3 rushes for 9 yards and a touchdown. So we had 3 TDs, 239. It's a pretty good fantasy day. And Ronald Jones, 17 for 66. Godwin had 6 catches for 79. He looked pretty good. Then he got hurt at the end. We'll have to check on Godwin. Scott Miller, 5 for 73. He's not a bad ad. O.J. Howard isn't an awful tight end to grab if you're really hurting. 4 for 36 and a touchdown. Ronald Jones, 2 for 16. Fournette, 1 for 14. Fournette he had 5 carries for 5 yards. He could be a good buy low too, but very disappointing week 1 for Fournette. Some people rolled with him, and it made sense in the right situation, but clearly flopped. Gronk, 2 for 11. I'm not going to hear the end of that. I'm going to get a lot of check a lot, Gronk, sir. No, give Gronk a little bit of time. But Evans, 1 catch for 2 yards and 1 TD. He had the hamstring injury. Now, let me put this out there. If there's anybody that people are going to knee-jerk react on, it's Mike Evans. Because if you didn't watch the game, you're talking out the other side of your body right now. Because he had a I believe, about 80 to 90 yards in penalty plays where he would have caught on 2 catches about 80 something total yards off of 2 catches. Both of them were total pass interference where he was being held and couldn't even get to the ball, and he would have had 80 yards in a score, and he would have 2 more receptions. So he'd had like 3 or 4 catches for 80 yards. It would have been a different game had he pulled in both of those. He might have got in some kind of rhythm. So if you didn't watch that game, you don't know how good of a day he really had, considering the injury in the playing on a injured hamstring. So that's noise, and use it to your advantage. Go trade low for Evans. Evans did not have as bad a day as that indicates right there. We'll check up on Godwin as we go. Breeze 160-2. Not the greatest day, not a horrible day. The 2 T's were okay. Lat Murray 15 carries to Kamara's 12. That's weird, alarming, scary, but Kamara still scored. But man, 48 yards off 15 carries is a little bit concerning for Kamara owners. Why is Lat Murray getting that much run? Kamara's got to make up for it in the receiving game if he's going to share that much work, which would be okay. Like Kamara, 12 to 14 rushes for like 50, 60, 70 yards, occasional rushing touchdown, and then getting what he's getting here, 5 catches for 51 and a touchdown. I'm okay with that. So don't be too alarmed if Lat Murray's in the 10 to 12 rushing carries per game. That would be okay. That spells Kamara enough. Kamara's not a guy you want getting 280 carries on the year. You want him getting right around 200, and then if he gets a little more some games and a little less other games, that's fine. He's a receiving and running back like combo. He's a 900 and 800 or 900 and 900 type of guy, or 900 and 850 or whatever, and 12 total TDs, 80 receptions. That's a good year. You don't need to worry too much about the timeshare at the running back categories. So I just want to toss that out there in case you're getting a little knee jerky on Kamara. Cook 5 for 80. That's really good. Kamara 5 for 51 in a score. Already mentioned that. Now Mike Thomas, I don't think you're going to be able to buy too low on him, but 3 catches for 17 yards. A bad game for MT. Go buy low if you can. That would be a steal if you could somehow steal him away. But again, back to Brady. Don't worry about Brady. Don't worry about Evans. Don't worry about Godwin. A lot of people are going to be freaking out. I'm going to see the same question over and over on my live streams this week. Smitty, tell me how much you regret saying that you thought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to have a lot of fantasy points in 2020, because week 1 tells all. Can't wait. That's how I envision your voices when you write that, by the way. Cardinals, Kyler dropping loads. 230, 1 TD, did have the 1 INT, but then he led the team in rushing attempts no, he didn't. He had 13 for 91 and a touchdown. He led the team in rushing. 7 yards a pop. 2 total TDs. That's par for the course against the 49ers. I had people saying, should I bench Kyler? He's playing the Niners. Playing the Niners, Smitty. He does well against the Niners. He had 3 TDs, I believe, and 0 INTs the last time they met, and he did well the other game too. So I don't know what people were thinking. The Niners struggle with running quarterbacks. This was the matchup that was quietly awesome, and clearly that was true. And he's going to be a top 3 to 4 quarterback all year long. He was on my top 10 bold predictions. This is the kind of year I expect out of this guy. No surprise here at the Fantasy Football Show that Murray dropped this kind of game. 3.8 yards a pop for Kenyon Drake. Not the best, but he still got 16 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown. He had a very effective first down run that essentially locked the game up. So that's a good thing. You want your running back to have that like game-winning run, that gets the first down and ends the game. So Kenyon Drake is a hero to those Cardinal coaches. So don't worry about, a little bit lesser outing than we hoped. Edmonds had 6 carries for 26 yards. Edmonds had the 3 catches for 19 yards and a touchdown. He's kind of involved. I think if you draft Drake, you probably drafted Edmonds because I told you to. So you're feeling pretty good about that running back, whoever it's going to be, because Edmonds looked involved and trusted, and I think Drake's the guy. But if anything happens, Edmonds could be one of those super handcuffs that could be a league winner. And if you drafted him standalone, Edmonds could be that league winner. Don't trade him, hold him, or sell him really high to the Drake owner, and do that old. You want the real starter, Chase Edmonds? Try and trade him and upgrade some wide receiver 2 into a wide receiver 1. Go trade your second round or third round wide receiver for Mike Thomas. Give up Edmonds. Go do something your league will veto. Hopkins, 14 receptions for 151 and 16 targets. We would have loved to have gotten greedy and got that extra touchdown. Would have added to his total, but man, 16 targets. We knew that Kyler was going to throw to this guy all over the field. Kyler loves to throw outside the pocket. This guy loves to catch outside that pocket or catch passes from his quarterback while he's running outside the pocket. DeAndre Hopkins is easily the best wide receiver physically, talent-wise in the NFL, and getting him paired up with a quarterback like Kyler, Hopkins is going to be so happy, playing great. Fitzgerald, this is a typical game for him. 4 for 34. I don't think you're going to count on Kirk all year at all. Look at that, 1 catch for 0. 49ers, the Kittle disappointing because he got banged up a little bit, but 4 catches for 44 yards. Mostert, 4 catches for 91 in the score. He had 5 targets in the passing game. That's outstanding. I love it. 15 runs is a lot. 56 yards, not a whole lot yards per carry, but the Cardinals are tougher than they look on paper. And Mostert's so explosive that I don't think we're going to find him in a sharing situation. And if he does fall into one temporarily, because let's say he struggles for a game and the Niners are quick to be like, pull the leash, he's still going to be involved. And when he pops off another big run, because that's what he does, that's his MO, then the Niners are going to be like, wow, we better get our playmaker back in there more. So he's like almost self-governing his value and place in that offense. And I think Mostert's the lone bright spot right here, right now. I'm glad Dr. Raj isn't on the show because I'm going to say something that probably he wouldn't like. But this is my opinion, and he respects my opinion even if it differs from his. And I'm not about lying to you guys. I'm straight up, even when I think I'm wrong, even if I think Cleveland's better this year than I thought, I'm able to admit that. I'm able to take my laps.
Take a lap.
And I'm going to say this because I want my audience to know the truth. And I know there's a lot of 49er fans, and I don't want to upset you. This is the truth. I think this is going to be a rough year for the 49ers. I think the Niners are not going to have the year that people had hoped. I don't think it's going to be I think it's going to be a rough year. I don't think they're going to go deep into the playoffs if they, even make I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't think it's going to be that comeback year, that bounce back year. Here we win the Super Bowl. I just feel like there's a lot of issues to work out here, and I think Jimmy G, he had 259-2, but I just feel like there's a lot of issues that will arise here. I know that's not what everyone's going to want to hear, but just watching this team, I don't think it's going to be the same team. I don't think it's going to be a team that's going to win, 13, 14 games, 12 games. I think it's going to be a 10-win team, which is still good. Still going to be on the verge of making the playoffs, but it's tough. You got the Rams, you got the Cardinals, you've got the Seahawks. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but I think there's a really good shot that they're in the mix, but I don't think they're going to be that Super Bowl contending team this year. But hey, I think there is reason to be hopeful that there's some fantasy impact players on this team all year long, and Mostert and Kittle and Debo when he returns. And you know what? To be fair, when Debo returns, we could see a whole different, team. We could see a lot of meshing going on and return into form. I just thought I'd see different offensive players doing bigger, better things in this one. I just felt like, Kittle was not as effective as he should have been. Garoppolo wasn't getting him the football. There's no receivers that are doing much. and giving Jimmy G any help. And then Jimmy G's just got that is he gonna be the guy this year that takes him to the promised land? So I don't know. I'm just feeling a little indifferent about the 49ers season, and I'm just trying to be real. I'm not trying to upset anybody, but that's just how I feel. So next team would be the Browns. Oh no, I already did the Browns. Last game, Cowboys and the Rams. So this one's a tough one to break down because I feel like the Cowboys just played bad overall. I mean, they had some good bright spots. I mean, 10 catches for 81 yards for Cooper, who I sell high, 14 targets. I sell them high. I don't sell them low. I don't sell them at fair market value. I sell them high. CeeDee Lamb did good for a rookie, 5 catches, 59 yards. Gallup, 3 for 50, looked okay. Elliott did really well, 3 catches for 31 and a touchdown. Elliott ran the ball 22 times for 96 yards and a score. Dak Prescott, 3 for 30. Make sure you own Pollard if you own Dak or own Zeke, because Pollard, he didn't do much, but he looked really good when he did get the football, and he's smooth. I think he's a league winner if he gets in there. He's a league saver if you've got Elliott, so make sure you go get Pollard. And he wasn't super involved, so you might be able to get him from the guy that sniped you. If for any reason you didn't listen, you didn't scoop up Pollard, you can probably get him pretty cheaply now. Goff, 275, 0 TDs, 1 INT. Malcolm Brown, the lone bright spot here, I guess, other than Woods. 18 rushes for 79 yards and 2 TDs. Cam Akers, 14 rushes, but only 39 yards. That's 2.8 a pop. He didn't look very good, but Henderson looked, non-existent because they don't use him. They don't like him. And that's kind of what we expected, right? Actually, what we said was Akers should be the guy, but he probably won't be. And what do? They give Malcolm Brown more runs. Malcolm Brown looked good, though. He looked quick. He looked strong. He's probably a guy you want to grab if he's available and you need a running back, because he looked efficient and he looked good enough in that offense. 4.4 yards a pop, that if you're in need, he could fill a spot for you for at least a couple weeks until they screw it up and do some weird rotation and start, Van Jefferson at running back. That's, they're capable of doing something weird. Woods, 6 catches for 105. Great game. Cooper Kupp, disappointing. 4 catches for 40. I suppose Kupp's a good buy low, but I don't know that anybody's going to sell after 1 week on Kupp. Kupp believers are very loyal. That's it. Woods, you could sell high, but he could still continue to do that. He's pretty darn good. So Robert Woods is not somebody I'd sell anything but high. And Akers you could buy low, but I'm just not on board. So if you are, I'll sign off on it, but I won't approve it. Two different things. Approving it's different than signing off on it. I'm not co-signing it. I'll sign off on it, but I won't co-sign it. That does it for the breakdowns. I guess we could forecast the upcoming 2 games. I'll say that I think that with the Steelers, I think Rothy's going to do pretty well. I've heard he's looking good. And I think Connor's going to have a big day. So Connor, we'll give him 80 yards and a touchdown, maybe, 15, 20 receiving yards. I'll give Juju 80 and a touchdown. Deontay will give him 40 and a score. 2 scores for Rothy, maybe 275. Danny Dimes, I'm going to say 250 and 2, 1 INT, 1 to Slayton, 1 to Barkley. Barkley runs another one in, has 140 total yards, and I'm going to say the Steelers win that game. Titans, I think Derrick Henry has 110 and a touchdown on the ground. Not much in the receiving department. I think A.J. Brown has 90 and a score, and we'll give him 5 or 6 catches. I think Melvin Gordon has 65 and a score. Maybe a tad disappointing, just because it feels like that kind of week. And give him 3 catches for 20 yards or whatever. Give Lindsey 45 yards rushing and 25 receiving. Give Jerry Jeudy 75 and a touchdown in this one. And give Jonnu Smith 80 yards on 3 or 4 catches. That's my forecast for the Monday night games. That's my breakdown for the week 1, guys. I appreciate all of you. You guys make the show. Hit the thumbs up on your way in or out, comment. I'll answer your questions below. Later. And I'll see you. I'll probably go live Monday after the game.